Good morning, football world. This is your NFL Draft Bible, not tailgate show. That's tomorrow. State of football, number 115. My head was already ahead. I see Big Law. I think we're state of football because that's what we do, Big Law, me and you.
That's
so
right.
I was already a day ahead, but we're still one day back. Football Friday on Draft Bibles. State of football, number 115, as always, the co-host with the most down there in Louisiana. We got Big John Murphy, VP of Player Personnel, two-time CFL champion, Grey Cup champion. How are the rings treating you this morning, John?
Awesome. Ready for some playoff football?
We say
Nice.
kiss the rings.
Yeah, with the rings, carrying the rings into it, and also regular season pick'em champ, if I understand. Regular season pick'em champ.
True. Waiting for my belt.
You got to put the belt over the shoulder. You got to have that Draft Bible belt over the shoulder for the pick'em champ this morning.
The strap.
And then we got the strap them up. And then we got Big Law. Come on, Big Law, bring it in. Tell the family what's going on this morning.
Hey guys, good morning. Just excited to have just another glorious football weekend coming up. Of course, the playoffs are here for the pros, and we got one weekend remaining in college football. That's kind of saddening, but it's all right. We're already in high gear as far as what we do here, as far as scouting, and of course, after this game, it's off to the races.
And you know what? Bring it up. We're going to go through just so everybody understands the rundown today. We're going to do our pick'ems. We're going to get into the playoff pick'ems here. We'll see if John can carry his winning ways over to the playoffs, see if we can get those predictions going. We'll talk a little bit of the college championship series or championship game for Monday night. But kicking us off this morning, we're going to bring in a quarterback from Northwestern, the Peyton Ramsey. This is a kid who was raised in Cincinnati, three-star athlete, a recruit, I should say, coming out of high school, secondary education major, rep by Chris Martin. So this is a guy that I think we were all very familiar with. We saw him in the Big Ten championship game, line it up against the Ohio State. So maybe he'll have a little insight about them. His coach Fitz is a hot coaching candidate, possible NFL guy. Said he would listen to some of those conversations if they were brought to him. So we can definitely bring that up and see his take on that as well. So we got a full jam-packed show for you this morning, giving you draft insight, giving you predictions on the NFL games, all that condensed into 1 hour of show here at Draft Bible. John, just kicking it off though, what is something that you're going to be excited to learn about Peyton this morning, knowing that we got him on the show? What's something that comes to mind for you?
I kind of think what in his mind is the biggest thing that he feels that he wants to work on in this next process, and then what's the most exciting part, of knowing that, like, hey, here you are. Entering college, it's always with the idea that could the NFL be in my future? And now it's, instead of the light at the end of the tunnel, you're almost right there. This is the next step, and you're in the NFL. The next time you dress, the next time you're at practice, it's going to be in the NFL. What's that? What are you thinking in that time frame? As you try to readjust from concentrating on something that's always a team sport. Well, now here you go, and the next 3 or 4 months is all about yourself. What is that like? And kind of maybe bring us a step behind it so our fans can kind of get an idea of what a young kid like that's thinking right now.
Yeah, I think that would be great insight. It'll help some of our listeners hear from a very polished, I think, young man. He's an academic All-American, a guy who that obviously takes his studies, seriously. So, this is a guy that I'm looking forward to interviewing this morning. So when we're ready, Sam, is he in the wait? Obviously, we always have there he is, Peyton Ramsey in the house, Northwestern quarterback, number 12 in the program, but number 1 in your hearts, everybody, obviously. So good morning, Peyton.
Morning. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Oh, we appreciate you coming on and giving us some love this morning. We're going to start off with Big Law jumping in and giving you some questions, and we're just going to go around the horn and get to know you a little bit better, okay?
Sounds good.
Great.
Hey, good morning, Peyton, man. Thank you for joining us this morning, man. I see that you were had a great game at that at Citrus Bowl. And what was it like receiving the MVP for the Citrus Bowl this year?
It was really special. Going down to that game, I hadn't communicated to anybody except my parents, but I knew it was going to be my last college game, and just wanted to go out, put my best foot forward, playing my best football in a big time bowl game. It meant a lot to the program of Northwestern and what we did and accomplished this year. So to go out and play well in that game was something that meant a lot to me, and that was really really special.
It looked like to me it was one of your better games of the year. It's like, you came, you're peaking, at the right point, which is what you want to do at this time of the year. With that being said, what style do you assimilate yourself to as far as how you play on the field to what quarterback in the league right now?
Yeah, the guy I try to emulate as much as possible is Russ Wilson because, I think when you listen to him talk, he always talks and it starts with your preparation. And I think first and foremost, I think he does an unbelievable job of that. And then you see obviously the way he can make plays with his feet and he's elusive outside of the pocket, but he stands in there and makes a lot of big time throws. And that's, something that throughout the course of my college career, I've gotten better at. Maybe earlier in my career, I wouldn't stand in there and I wouldn't make throws and I wouldn't let reads develop down the field. But it's something that I've gotten better at and need to continue to get better at. But I love watching him play. He's so much fun, and like I said, it all starts with his preparation.
Yeah, I see you, man. Like you got a little boogie to you. When you get out of the pocket, you get going. My last question for you is, down in Miami, they talk about Fitz magic. Of course, your coach, I don't know if he likes that name, but he's got some Fitz magic going on where he is right now. What's it like playing for a coach like him, man? He seems very inspirational, knows, everything, what's going on with his program, very in touch. What's it like playing for Coach Fitzgerald?
Yeah, Coach Fitz he is awesome. He's one of the best coaches that I've ever had the privilege of playing for, and I think he makes it a player's team, and he communicates through his leaders and the guys at the front. The leadership committee that he calls it the Unity Council. They really buy into what he's preaching and what he's teaching, and he lets the players run the locker room, and he doesn't try to police anything. And I think that's a special thing.
Good.
I think he separates coach and player, and he speaks through his leaders, and like you said, very inspirational, very football knowledgeable. A joy to come in and play for every single day because he truly cares about us as young men and getting better. So so many great things I could go on and on about Coach Fitz, and I only got to spend a short time with him, but he's been awesome.
Thank you for that.
Appreciate that insight there on Coach Fitz because I know his name's being mentioned a little bit with even NFL jobs, and he seems to be kind of like a hot coaching candidate with NFL jobs. What is one thing that you, or maybe a coaching tip or two that you've learned from that you think would translate to the pros well, and that maybe a future quarterback for him that at the pro level would really appreciate as a quarterback learning from him?
Yeah, and like I said, I think it goes back to that leadership piece. I've learned personally so much, from his leadership style. I come to the sidelines and he's so calm, cool, and collected, and he's a great communicator. It's never, accusing me of doing something wrong or getting in my grill about something. It's always, let's have a conversation about, if I make a bad play, what did I see? Or even if I make a good play, let's talk about it. Let's not get too high. Let's not get too low. He does a really, really good job of just communicating and talking those things out on the sidelines. And I think that's kind of a contagious attitude, a contagious mindset, the way that he doesn't get too high when things are going well, but he doesn't let negative things impact him. And I think as a quarterback, that's been awesome for me to be on the sideline with him and really kind of stay consistent, like keep that consistent mindset throughout the course of the game and even throughout the week, in practice and things of that nature.
Gotcha. John, what are you looking to learn here from Peyton?
So Peyton, congratulations on your season, first and foremost. We heard you're already down training, so right in, jumped right into, the next phase of things. What's the number one thing for you that you want to work on between now and when you get a chance to work out in front of the NFL scouts?
Yeah, I think a big thing is deep ball accuracy. I think that's always something that's kind of been criticized in my game. Something that I've always worked on. But I think that's got to be an emphasis and show scouts that I can push the ball down the field just because I didn't do it as much as maybe some of the other guys that are coming out in this class. It's got to be something that I can prove that I can do because I'm confident in that, and I know how much better I've continued to get at that. But that's going to be a point of emphasis as it always is, and I'm excited to get to keep working on it.
And then my other thing was, here you are now, right? 4 years ago, you're going into college, and as soon as you get that first start in college, you can always start thinking maybe the NFL, maybe I can do this, maybe it's a possibility. Now that you're here and it's 3 or 4 months away, can you tell the fans, like, what is it like to feel the accomplishment you just made? Right now, you finish your college career, you're the MVP of your bowl game, and now you're sitting there with that destiny like right in front of you. What is it like? Is there ever a day where you have a moment to just kind of reflect on where you were, where you are, and where you're hoping to be?
Yeah, 100%. And it's crazy. It's crazy. Time flies. It really does. And I came home for a little bit and allowed myself to decompress, like you said, and reflect on everything, my entire college career, going through five seasons. And like you said, while you're in that moment, you don't necessarily think about the NFL. You don't think about training and all of the, this process that we're all about to go through these next 3 or 4 months. So, it's crazy. And you think about how fast time flies. And it's an exciting time because you finally get to be selfish, I think, and focus 100% on you and the things that you need to get better at. Because most of the time in college, off seasons they're focused on yourself, but you're always working with your receivers on timing and learning scheme and getting better watching film with your guys. And I think for the first time, you can really sit down, go out, be selfish about what you need to continue to get better at. And I think that's an exciting thing.
Was there a kid at Northwestern, now that you're leaving, who's that guy next year that you will not be surprised if we're watching Northwestern next fall? Who's the guy that, kind of leads that team next year?
Yeah, I mean, I think the quarterback room, I think there's a bunch of guys in there. Andrew Marty and Hunter Johnson are two guys that I think could be good players. I'm very, very impressed with the running back room. There's two young guys, Cam Porter and Evan Hall. Keep an eye on those guys because they're going to be they're young guys. They're going to be really good players. But whoever plays quarterback there, the awesome room, awesome guys, awesome leaders, and I'm really excited for their future and what's to come for them.
That's awesome. And I went over it in our beginning, but you're rep by Chris Martin of OTG Sports, and it sounds like you're going to be working with John Kaleo down there in Tampa as your quarterback coach. Now, are you going to get with John before you head over to the CGS, the College Gridiron Classic game?
I'm not. I'm actually not. So I'm back in Cincinnati here for a little bit, and then I'm gonna go down to Fort Worth, and then straight from Fort Worth to Tampa.
So you already got your plan, obviously, in place as an academic All-American. I don't, I didn't expect anything less. But what are you hoping at the CGS that you get to do besides the deep ball for NFL scouts? Is it interview with them so they get to know your personality? Is it show stuff on the field? What is it you're hoping? The impression you're hoping to leave with NFL scouts when they leave the CGS for you?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. I think interviews are. And getting down and getting to show the kind of guy that I am, getting on the board. The football, the physical piece is one thing, but I think when you get to show them who you are, not only as a player, but as a person, I think that's exciting. And show them, how cerebral that I am and how quick I can pick up on things and communicate things on defense or different things that I've played for 4 different offensive coordinators. So I've learned a lot of football over the years. So I think those interviews are going to be really exciting and really big time for me.
I really appreciate you spending some time with us this morning, letting us get to know you, helping us understand your story a little bit more here. One last question for you. I know as a young man, you were coached by your dad. He's a coach at your high school. And how was that growing up? How was it being dad on the field in your relationship with him through those times?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was the best 3-4 years of my entire life. He was hard on me. There's no doubt about that. He expected a lot from me. But I think what the best part for me, I had an older brother who he had already kind of learned how you be a dad and how you be a coach at the same time. And, all credit to my dad. He did an awesome job of separating the two. Probably more so for my mom. My mom wouldn't let us have conversations about football over dinner. So my dad did a really good job of separating the two. And like I said, it was the best 3 years of my life being able to play for my dad.
That's awesome. Well, again, Northwestern's quarterback, MVP of the Citrus Bowl, Peyton Ramsey here. It's just awesome to meet you, get to know you a little bit. Good luck down at CGS, and good luck in the draft process.
Right on. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All righty, guys. What was an impression taken away from our interview there? Big Law, you're on mute, Bubba.
I thought he was a very thoughtful young man. Seems like he's very mindful of who he is, and what he needs to work on. Like I said, it looked like he had probably his best game, playing for Northwestern in that bowl game, where he just really looked like he was wheeling and dealing. And, and also you got an opportunity to see his feet. He has some boogie to his game. So, I'm looking forward to seeing, his journey, see how far he can go with this.
Big Law, I always love doing shows with you because you just absolutely bring the cool to the show. I can't sit here. Neither John or I could pull off. He had some boogie to his game. Like that wouldn't work for us in our lingo. But you say it and it's just slick. It's just like, ooh, man, tell me more about that boogie in his game. Like John and I just don't have that cool at all.
Yeah, I appreciate it. But you got that knowledge though. We're a great team.
We are. It's a great combo. A little bit of sugar, a little bit of spice, a whole lot of nice coming out of Big Law. So, I want to jump into these 6 games, these playoff games that we have at the NFL level. And then obviously we'll talk a little bit of college playoff game coming on Monday. But, we got about 40 minutes left, packed jam with football. Appreciate any of our guys in the chat room. If you're up, you have a question about football, you want us to answer it here live on the State of Football, throw it in the chat. We will get to it. We will put it in play. You will get this. You'll get all the info right here for you. Kicking off this pick'em though, John, let's see if you can carry that belt with you into the playoffs and carry it through. Let's give us a little insight in your pick at Indianapolis or Buffalo at Indianapolis. This is a over under at 51. Buffalo is favored by 6.5 here on my take. What is it you see coming forward here in this game?
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one for me because the Colts were my preseason dark horse to knock out the Chiefs, and now you got the Bills playing as good, if not better, football than anybody in the AFC. I still think this is a difficult game. The way the Colts defense has played all season, it's also a chance that this is one of 3 where you have Phillip Rivers. Later on, we talk about Brady and Breeze. Possibly, could that be their last game if they lose? What Josh Allen has been able to do, and as an organization, what they've been able to do to not only draft them, but develop them, and then here this season, give him a number 1 receiver, draft enough to have depth to get over the injuries and get through a COVID season, and they are now playing their best football. And I think what happened last week, making the decision, we're playing an opponent that is our regular divisional rival. They're trying to make the playoffs. Keep the gas pedal on, knock them out of the playoffs, and keep yourself, on rhythm, on time, ready to play the following week. I think that's too much for the Colts in this one. I think the Bills win, and I think they probably cover.
Big Law, what are you seeing? Because that's some good stuff, and I'm coming with you. I got some stuff for you, John. Let's get through Big Law though, but then I'm coming with you on this one.
I don't know about that, man. I know that this is the best team in the playoffs as far as AFC goes, as far as my opinion, outside of Kansas City. But I think this is like the last hurrah. A lot of these old quarterbacks, they always want to go out in the shield, but they always want to have this big game at the end of their career that kind of, ends the story with the credits rolled and then they win. I'm looking at Phillip Rivers. This is his opportunity with a good team, a solid defense and some weapons around him, and finally a good steady run game, with multiple running backs to give him a hand. I think this is an opportunity for him to get to the next level and beat up and coming upstart team with a young quarterback who really hasn't had an opportunity to be in the playoffs and kind of know what it's about and how to prepare and how to. I'm not saying that Josh won't be prepared, but I think that Phillip has been here before, and I think his experience could possibly take this Colts team to the next level. So I'm looking at the Colts, and I think the Colts will cover everything. I think it's a right-out win for the Colts, and I'm looking for the upset.
Oh, here we go. We got an upset alert. Can I hear it? Can I get it? Can I get it?
Yeah,
but
you can get it.
Can I get it? So let me hear that alarm. So
here we go. There it is.
Oh, I hear it. The alarm's ringing. It's early, but get up, get going on the state of football. Upset alert's already ringing. We got it in the first game. Hey, I picked the Colts preseason to be my football, my Super Bowl AFC representative because I love the addition of Phillip Rivers there. I love what they're doing. I really think it's great to see early in the season people were like, "Where's Jonathan Taylor? Why aren't they giving him more touches?" Hey, have we learned not anything yet? Frank Wright and Chris, the GM there, Ballard, have plenty of to do, know how to groom and bring people along. And now look at JT in the last month and a half, 6 weeks. This guy has been offensive rookie of the year with what he's done. I mean, I know he won't get it. It's going to be a quarterback-driven thing. It's going to go down there to Herbert. Totally understand that. Awesome job that Justin Herbert did this year. But Jonathan Taylor, like you said, Big Law and John, he's got to give Phillip Rivers a go-to run game right now. I see this as a really hard game to pick for me because I love Indianapolis. I want to be right. I want them to go to the Super Bowl for so many reasons with my friends that work there and everything. It's really hard to see them going into the juggernaut Buffalo Bills home stadium. They're going to allow some crowd there. The Bills Mafia is going to be represented for the first time all season. So it's going to be hard to see them beat this juggernaut. I have to pick, with a heavy heart, I have to pick Buffalo to win this game. I have to cover the points. Now, for the record, get it on the books. Rick has sounded the alarm here. Rick is saying it's going to be the Colts. Oh, I'm sorry. No, he's choosing Buffalo. And it's going to be Buffalo in a close game, but this is a coin flip game for him.
Man, you give me an opportunity to jump up on y'all quick.
Yeah, we did right off the bat. Leading into our next game, let's get into the Rams Seahawks here, guys. Rams Seahawks game. We're going to lead off with Big Law. What do you see, Big Law?
Well, what I see with this is very similar. It's the quarterback who's been there before, and that's Russell Wilson, King Russell. He's an animal right now. He's playing at a high level. Like Peyton said, he wants to be able to play. The style of play is paramount. The way that Russell plays, and a lot of quarterbacks coming in want to be able to play like him, want to be able to get paid like him as well. So, and just because of his style of play, I just don't see them losing this game. Now, I know the Rams have the top two defense in the league, but I don't see them having enough offense on the other end. I know that Wolford, put together a win last week. He, conservative. With Sean McVay with the play calling, they ran the ball. They tried to keep the mistakes out of the game. Didn't want to put too much on him, but there's just too much firepower on the other side. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and also they're starting to run Chris Carson a little bit. Just to kind of take some of the pressure off of Russell. When it comes to moving the ball with the legs. So I just see Bobby Wagner, KJ Wright, Jamal Adams. Seattle, their defense wasn't playing good, in the beginning of the year, but the defense has come on strong. And they play with such speed and ferocity with all those guys who can really fly around the field that I just don't see Wolford, having success against this defense. They're on a roll right now. And also, Quandre Diggs, who has 5 ints, who's coming on and as well playing some good football. I just see Seattle just continuing on, getting to the next level, and looking for the next opponent. So Seattle's going to win. I think it's going to be more than 3.5 points. I think they're going to blow them out.
Wow, coming out. Big Law saying the Rams are getting blown out. Do you agree, John, or do you disagree?
Yeah, here's the thing. I'm not sure that this is a great matchup, though, for them. When you look at how they played early this season, at the middle point of the year, when the defense took the trend upward, the offense has gone the other way. And the number one thing that's not there, that's almost completely disappeared from the offense in Seattle, is the big play. He's about 2 out of 20 on his last 20 throws going vertical down the field. And we saw it start around the time of that Giants game, where for some reason, all those big plays that were so easy in the first 6 or 7 weeks sort of have disappeared. And now what do the Rams have that could keep this being a game? Well, they have somebody who can cover DK Metcalf. They have a pass rush that gives Seattle trouble. And if Seattle has turned into the old school, like, let's run it more and not let Russell cook, and he's getting cooked in the backfield, that's a problem. And I think this is a lower, there's a reason it's 42.5, which is a pretty amazing over-under for an NFL playoff game that is only 42.5 points, between them. This is a real shot for one guy that takes a lot of heat, probably rightfully so, and takes a lot of heat on this show too, which is Jared Goff. I know you got a Bobo, your fingers hurt, you got it stuck in a real opportunity. Division foe with a guy who's clearly a winner, right? We think that he can carry, no Jamal Adams, we're no problem. No running game, he's won games. No offensive line, he's made plays. Okay, in Seattle with no fans, no 13th man, just maybe the ticket attendant who gets to go to the game. That's it. This is your shot, Jared Goff. If you dress and play, don't let John Wolford be the guy that wins a playoff game. Don't let the accountant come in and run the numbers for you. I think it's a closer game because I'm not sure what offense we're seeing. What identity are we getting out of the Seahawks in this moment? Did they start going more to the run game to prepare for the playoffs? And then we'll see something, tomorrow that's like, oh, okay, that explains some of the pattern and changes in the past 2 months. But if I'm Seattle, what I'm fearful of is they can match up with us, take away those plays. They have a front that can control the line of scrimmage with us. And then the Rams just don't make any bad plays. And you saw last week, Wolford's not just terrible. He's not just a pure number 3. And he literally is out there playing it like the accountant. I'll take what I take here. I'll take what I take there. I'll take a little from over here. I'll take a little over there. And before you know it, they're winning a game with John Wolford. So I think it's closer, home field, even with no fans, Russell Wilson giving you the benefit of the doubt. But I think the alarm is on just as high, if not more, in this game than it would be the one we just talked about.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think this is going to be a close battle. Obviously, my other team that I did preseason pick even had Russell as my MVP guy, and early he was playing that way. Later, he's kind of fallen off, so I don't know what's going on there with the play calling or what they're doing. It seems like they got the reins on Russ, and they're not letting him cook. Hopefully, they take him off. That offense gets more explosive like we saw earlier in the year, because Russell was playing at MVP candidate level early, especially that first 6 or 8 games. He was really rocking and rolling. Just to get it on the books, again, Rick has the Rams. He said, sound the alarms. It smells like an upset here. So Rick has the Rams here, even with the quarterback situation being up in the air. We're not sure who's going to play. I am with my Seahawk pick, sticking with Russ and the boys. I do question if Adams doesn't play, if he's out for the game and not going to play, how's that pass rush going to get home, even on a backup quarterback, because they've had to generate pass rush from him all season long. And without him in the game, they've been having trouble getting home and leaving any kind of quarterback in the NFL with the level of play it takes to be an NFL quarterback back there with time. They can cook as well. It's like having your sous chef step up for a night and knock it out of the park. They can do it. They have the skills consistently every night, though. You need a guy like Russ, and that's why I'm picking the Seahawks to win this one and letting Russ cook all night long. So now we've got those two. Last Saturday game we're going to pick and talk about is the nightcap, Tampa Bay at the Washington football team. Is that it? So lead off, John.
Well, so here we go. Tom Brady making the playoffs. Bill Belichick watching Tom Brady make the playoffs. Now they play against a defensive team that is hungry. And you've heard him. Your guy, Chase Young, Defensive Player of the Year as a rookie, saying, I want to get me some of that. I want to get a sack. I want to put pressure on Tom Brady. Okay, let's turn it down a little. Just remember, Tom Brady's won a lot of playoff games getting sacked, right? He's won a lot of games, doing things, not on schedule. Mike Evans, game time decision, but we saw Tom Brady's, who's having the longest sleepover in the history of the NFL with Antonio Brown living at the crib, starting to work out, starting to look pretty good there. So they still have enough weapons to me, even without Mike Evans. Ronald Jones didn't get his 1,000 yards, will want to be showcased in this game. If there's one thing you can do at times against the Redskins, you can run the ball at times against them. You're going to have to do some things to get that heat off of you. And then I think on the other side, you'd love the story, right, of Tyler Heineke coming off the COVID quarantine quarterback, coming off the bench, and creating some magic there, for the Redskins, considering the season they've had. We know everything Alex Smith and Coach Rivera have been through. There's just not enough offense here, right? Like even with Alex Smith, they barely score 20 a week. Their benefit is they don't give up any points, right? Last time they gave up 3 touchdowns was week 10. So they have the pressure, which has given the Bucs problems, right? When the Bucs have played poorly, it's been against teams that were able to generate a pass rush. Now, if Terry McLaurin was 100%, and the way Logan Thomas has morphed into Tony Gonzalez somehow in the past 3 weeks, the other part that the Bucs don't have at all pro level is their DBs. So is there a shot to make a couple of plays? Yes, there is, but this is that funny matchup game where they want to play Alex Smith for all the reasons you want him in a playoff game. The problem is he's not healthy, and he's got a right calf that anything wrong with his lower body on top of the $6 million man surgery he's already had is probably that much worse for him than anybody else. So the weird part of it is, if they need a spark this weekend, the spark might actually come from Taylor Heineke, who just doesn't know any better when it comes to this kind of moment and this type of scenario going against Tom Brady. The one thing that Taylor Heineke has is he doesn't know any better that he shouldn't be in this moment and believes that he can perform, which is half the battle. Just like Wolford last week, when you watch and he threw that early interception and the coach comes over, he's like, oh yeah, I got this. Don't worry. I know that was a bad throw, but I'm good. I'm not going to have a terrible game here. That was just a bad throw. I would have made that bad throw no matter what. Don't worry about me. Tyler Heineke has a lot of that same just innate confidence that he can get the job done. So I still think, with the Bucs, like I said, offensively, I think they can do some things, score some points, not 30, whatever, as usual, but enough points where I think it's just too hard for the Redskins offensively to maintain in this game. So I got the Bucs winning, but I think you do see everything you've seen out of the Redskins all season to give you a much better game and a much more quality opponent than what you thought you were going to get out of a NFC East team throughout the course of this season.
Yeah, I thought that, well, obviously the NFC East was a hot potato of who wanted to win. Everybody kept passing it. Even in the last game, you saw the Washington Football Club do everything to lose that game. They kept turning the ball over, giving the Eagles an opportunity to win. But again, Peterson coach team doesn't know how to win, so therefore they just couldn't pull it off. They kept giving it back to Washington. This is a game where I love the front. As you know, did pick Chase to be my defensive rookie of the year, and he's playing that way. That front seven is scary for Washington. I really like them a lot. But in this type of game, the playoff game where you're meeting up against Todd Bowles, who's got his defense chinning, playing well, they're going to be able to stop the run. He's going to blitz and get home on the pass rush. So this is a situation with a consistent quarterback play is going to be the difference, and that's in favor of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I got the Bucks. Rick's got the Bucks. And he said this game's going to be over by halftime. I don't know if that's true, but I do think this is going to be a game where consistent quarterback play is the key, and that's always in favor of Tom Brady. Big Law, what do you got?
Okay. I gotta sound the sirens, guys. Okay.
Oh wow!
I'm
We got siren alert on this game. On this game,
I'm calling it right now. This is what I see. All right, I see Donovan Smith and Tristan Wirfs against Chase Young and Montez Sweat. All right, that's for the most part is where the game is really going to come down to. I get it. Todd Bowles against Alex Smith. You're going to skew Todd Bowles because he's he's just an animal being aggressive and getting after your quarterback. I think the difference is going to be this. You're looking at Tom Brady. When you get two sacks or less on him, he's 26-7. All right, in the playoffs. And then when you get more than 4 sacks on him, he's 4. When you get more than 3 sacks on him, he's 4-4. So with that being said, I feel like this could be a real opportunity to really see what this front was put together to do. And they were put together for opportunities and moments like this. This team knows that if they're going to go any further, this team's going to have to make plays. The defense may have to score or set the team up and put a bunny on the 5-yard line with a sack fumble or something to get this team to win. I know that Alex Smith is playing on one leg, but if Scott Turner can get the ball out of his hands quick, play the quick game, and get the ball into Antonio Gibson's hands, a little bit of Terry McLaurin here, a little bit of Logan Thomas over the middle, and keep the game moving so that you don't give Tom Brady the time to pick you apart, extend the game. I think Washington has an opportunity just because defense does show up typically in the playoffs. If you had a top defense during the year, typically your defense will show up. I've seen offenses go in holes on playoff games, but I definitely see this defense stepping up, having a good game against Tom. I know Devin White may be out, who is their stud middle linebacker. The guy wound up with 140 tackles and 9 sacks. But I definitely see an opportunity for Washington to win this game. It's a slim one, but they can win. And if they do have to put in Taylor Heineke, just like you said, Taylor Heineke doesn't know any better. All right, the guy, he is a baller, and I'm not counting on him, but I'm more so counting on this defense. So I'm looking forward to seeing this game in the nightcap, and I'm thinking Washington can pull it off in a close one.
I'm glad to see you picking Washington. That means, I feel a lot better about this pick'em situation right now because I was worried you might have picked up a game on us with that Colts pick, being the only one to take Colts and everybody else, was taking Buffalo. But now I'm so good we're getting that game back because you know what? You just picked a 7-9 team to beat Tom Brady in the playoffs. The GOAT with 6 rings is not going to lose to a 7-9 team. That's just not happening. But we still got love for you. Moving on to the next game, we're going to set it up here. Baltimore, Tennessee. We're coming right back to you, Big Law. We got Baltimore and Tennessee. We got the run heavy both teams. Big Law, what do you see in this ground and pound game?
Well, just like you guys are, I'm a hip hop guy down south there, John. I don't know if you remember the group Outkast. They had a song, "Sorry Miss Jackson." I gotta say, sorry, Mr. Jackson. Okay, I don't see Mr. Jackson getting a win against this game. Mark Vrabel, just my opinion and what I've seen, has his number. I know that the Tennessee defense hasn't played great this year, but I think they play well against Lamar Jackson. They beat Lamar Jackson in overtime on a 29-yard run by King Henry earlier in the season. And like I said, Lamar Jackson is looking for that first win. I don't think he gets it this game. This Baltimore team has rushed for the fourth most rushing yards ever since 1966. But with that, you got to be able to push the ball down the field. And that's one thing that Tannehill can do. Before, if we were talking midseason, Tannehill was looking like an MVP candidate. You got AJ Brown, making things happen. And I can't remember the other receiver on the other side, but they have a hell of a play action game. When you got the hammer coming off tackle, running right up the middle, just really putting together some incredible runs. The guy shortens the game, makes it easier, and also, and like I said, it makes Ryan Tannehill looks like he's a better quarterback than he really is because you get that play action going. So I'm counting on Vrabel, Coach Vrabel. I'm counting on the hammer to continue to win this game. Baltimore, maybe next year. And we'll see how this all shakes out, man. But I just see the Tennessee Titans coming, being the home team as well. I just think that I just see them winning this game. It's almost like the Belichickian coaching tree is extended in here. And I like to see how, what they do to Lamar Jackson this time to beat him on Sunday.
Well, here's my thing, and I kind of am with you on this. You have the the Tennessee Titans, when I watch them, their pass defense, because they can't generate any kind of pass rush, is the problem here. But guess what? You get to draw the Ravens, where all they want to do is run. I mean, last week ran for 404 yards in that game. So all they want to do is run. That actually works right well for you in Tennessee. They're trying to run into the teeth of your defense, which is run stop. I think they do a really nice job run stopping there. They fill the lanes. The safeties come down and fill those holes really well for them. So this is a situation where I think Tennessee lucked out on the draw. A lot of people would say, no, don't say that, because you know what? The Ravens are too hot, too much right now, which is what Rick wrote in his notes here. The RIC is picking the Baltimore Ravens. So put that on the books. I got it going the other way. I got the Tennessee Titans being able to stop the run, stop the Ravens, and send Mr. Jackson home, and send those coordinators who are looking for head coaching jobs into the interview circuit right now. But that's me. John, what do you see?
Well, I think this is very interesting because you're getting another matchup of these teams. And does that bode well for the club that has not broken through, hasn't broken through in the playoffs, but also hasn't broken through against the same opponent? And now you're getting them again, right? So to me, this is who is going to counterpunch off of what they've done before. And is someone going to strategize to say, you know what, you're expecting more King Henry, we come out with the passing game and then go to him? Or the other way around, hey, we've beaten everybody over the head the last month with all this rushing, you try to take that away. Well, guess what? Adoree Jackson against anybody is going the wrong way for the Titans. They haven't stopped anybody. You have 15 sacks from your front, and you've given up 36 passing touchdowns. If defense wins championships, the Titans ain't winning. Right? So the other thing that worries me is, and it's playoff time, right? And I almost did, you could use the Run DMC if you want to go a little old school.
There you go.
Right?
I like it.
It's not Christmas time in Hollis, Queens. It's playoff times in Tennessee.
Yeah,
and guess
there
what you
go.
don't have? You don't have a kicker that anybody trusts. So now you signed Sam Sloman, and his teammates didn't know his name last week. You go in there and miss a kick in the playoff game, they're going to know more than your name, Sam Sloman. They're going to know your home address for the offseason.
Christmas gifts might come a little late, but he'll get them. His
If I'm
Christmas
in
gifts
here,
will come.
what my concern is, they have the ability defensively, if you're the Ravens, maybe not to slow down or even stop anything with King Henry. But their secondary is now healthier, so you have coverage and can do different things coverage-wise to keep A.J. Brown at least in your vicinity. Corey Davis is kind of hot and cold, as we know, and he is. So if you slow down the play-action part, on the other side, I think this is a perfect opportunity. Like if Lamar Jackson goes in there and does nothing again, this becomes a Lamar Jackson issue, even though he deserves it or not. It will literally fall a lot on him and Greg Roman because you are given an offense that's playing the way you are. You have the much better defense. And you're playing against a team that doesn't generate a pass rush and is giving up long touchdowns all over the place. I mean, last week, the Texans just shredded them. You know, and last week, the Texans not only shredded them passing the ball, but David Johnson looked like David Johnson from 2016. You know, so to me, the issue with picking the Titans is their defense is awful. I mean, and that's being nice. And I'm really worried that if this is another close game, that Cody Parkey Jr. that's kicking for the Titans tomorrow isn't ready for prime time, right? That looked like a movie. That guy called the timeout, and that kid was like, "Are you sure Gostkowski ain't here?" Man, that kid was ready to his pants last week. It showed
there was a poop alert.
And it showed when he kicked it. I mean, it almost looked like he wanted to hit that goalpost on purpose because that was the only way it was going to go in was to ricochet it off. Right? So if that's their kicker for tomorrow, yeah, I'm going Ravens. Just even if it's the kicker part of it.
Well, I think they did. I think yesterday, John. I do think yesterday I saw them activate Gostkowski off the COVID list or whatever. So I think they're going to get their kicker back. And you're 100% right. I mean, they had a hard time stopping the Texans. Deshaun Watson is special, but at the end of the day, defense has to come up with a stop. I think this defense has a chance to stop them. So that's why I'm going with the Titans because, I don't want to pick against the hammer and Tannehill. That throw Tannehill made at the end of the game when I don't know what – I love Romeo Crennel to death, but I don't know what he was calling there. That last play giving Tannehill a one-on-one matchup with AB out there. So, I mean, that's just – I don't get that. But he made the throw, and he got him down there, and they won the game,
Yeah, plus, there is also a little bit of – gamesmanship that you got going on here pregame, so if this goes to overtime, I'm wondering if the steel cage comes down and Vrabel and Harbaugh go in there and just wrestle it out because remember what happened the last time these two teams played? There's a little gamesmanship pregame. Stay away from that logo on the 50-yard line.
Yeah, seriously.
Don't be standing on the logo.
Don't be going out there doing your TikTok dances. That ain't going to work.
Because remember, that happened in Baltimore. You cannot tell me that there's not a Ravens player right now who's thinking of standing on the logo when the Titans come out. Right? Because that type of disrespect makes you feel like they think you can get punked. And there's a lot of guys in a football locker room who don't care, right? Don't always remember that we're in a playoff game. You can't get kicked out of a playoff game. Can't have a pregame brawl in a playoff game, but I'm letting you know somebody's going to be doing something pregame where it ain't going to just be handshakes and hugs. There's going to be a little something in that pregame that lets you know what kind of game it's going to be because you don't all stand on somebody's logo unless you think they're just not a physical team. And when was the last time the Ravens were not a physical team?
I think both sides are going to be physical. I think that they're going to play the short game, and they're going to run the ball, keep the ball look for 40 carries, okay, 35 to 40 carries for Henry, and that's how they're gonna salt the game away, and they're gonna start salting right before halftime and just keep on going until the game's over. And if Gostowski is active, look for that a field goal victory or Gostowski kicking 3 or 4 field goals during that game to win it.
So I got Big Law, me on the Titans, Rick, the RIC, and Murph, you're on the Ravens. So we got a decisive 2-2 here game. So we'll see who comes out on top. This could be the winner of the weekend. Whoever wins this game could win our pick'ems. Moving on, getting to the next one, guys, is Chicago at the Saints. Is this a game that sends the Chicago Bears coaching staff and GM to the bench? Is this the game, if they're one and done, do they get fired? Some of the rumors out there on the street are that if the Chicago Bears don't go deep into the playoffs, there's going to be changes there at Chicago, both at the head coach and GM level. Mitchell Trubisky has been playing really well. He's been going well here. I can't roll with him. I can't do it, especially with Kamara. Yesterday saying see you Sunday. He's ready to go. I think this is going to be one of those classic Saints games, double-digit wins. Bears defense not disrespecting you. Pagamo, what you're doing up there is great. But I'm just saying that the Saints last weekend, what I saw them do was click. What I saw them do was be on time with their throws, everything they had going, and that defense. When that defense has gotten up by 10 points and playing from a 10-point lead, they have not let teams come back on them. They've been able to close games out. This is a different Saints defense than we've seen in the years past. They're actually getting home on pass rush. I'm going with the Saints. RIC's got the Bears, he's got the Saints winning easy. So this is a garbage point make. So pick make. So this is me, RIC on the Bears. What are you going with, Murph? Who you got?
Yeah, I think the chance to get multiple of your injured players back, and as long as Kamara's dressing, that's going to give the Bears all kinds of problems. And here's the problem with how this game could play out is that Matt Nagy and Trubisky are not going to be the problem. The problem is going to be possibly no Roquan Smith, who got injured, the lack of pass rush, and Nakeem Hicks got dinged, Khalil Mack's been a little dinged, they haven't generated a pass rush recently, and their secondary has leveled off in how they played early in the season. So I could see a method to where there are some plays, right? When the Saints don't get home, you see the difference between sacks and pressures, right? Sacks and the Falcons are dead in the water. Sacks and the Bucs lose twice. Pressures and you see Aaron Rodgers, right? Pressures in that first game against the Bears got this game all the way to overtime. So what will be the difference on Sunday is sacks versus pressures. And I think Trubisky with Montgomery, Allen Robinson, and a tight end, that can score some points, right? David Montgomery has scored 5 in a row in 5 games in a row. They may actually score some points on the Saints. The problem will be, do they stop giving points up to the Saints, who have found a way to win with no Kamara, with no Michael Thomas, with no Drew Brees, last week with Ty Montgomery out there looking like, Alvin Kamara. So the problem is, I think the Bears defense is what comes out of this game as being the, wow, I can't believe they gave up type scenario. Whereas offensively, that's going to be the real tightrope here, is at the end of the year, what is your GM and your OC and your head coach saying to upper management about Mitchell Trubisky? Because if you walk in and you say it's Mitchell Trubisky, they might hit the eject button on you, right? And if you walk in and say, I want to give that guy a long-term extension, they may give you a short-term extension, right? So,
well, I think that's just it. The key is with Mitchell, they got to make a decision. But I don't think the organization wants to tie themselves to Mitch and this GM and head coach, I think, are going to get shown the door so they can make the organization press conference, win the press conference, right? All organizations want to win the press conference. The new coach comes in, it's not my guy. The quarterback's not my guy. So new GM comes in, quarterback's not our guy. We're going to make the switch, and then it makes it an easy conversation.
Yeah, I also think that, not to go completely off topic, but the interesting part will be in this division, and if you're the Bears and you lose here, and a week from now, the Packers win and they continue on late into the playoffs. If Detroit then makes a hire that is very well acclaimed or very well received, do you start getting worried as the Bears that we're not good enough? And could we ever fall completely back to the bottom? Right? Because the Bears and Vikings have a lot of moving parts. And that Detroit team could get better, not overnight, but could get better in the next 2 to 3 years with the right hire, and the factor that that organization now seems upper management getting back on its feet between ownership, the rapport with the former players, and Chris Spielman now fixing a lot of that angst, right? It will not be surprising. Sooner or later, Big Law, we're going to get a Thanksgiving with Megatron and Barry Sanders wearing their blue, being okay with it. Herman Moore, we might be able to fix stuff. Come on. There is a chance there that their relationships can get fixed with Chris Spielman, and depending on who they hire. And I thought it was interesting, George Patton, I'm not interested. I'm going to go do that Broncos interview. Smart idea. Take the interviews take the good interviews. Take the interviews to where you can, where you can go. Don't go to Denver. Take that Detroit thing and hold on to it, because that might be that might be a way in the door, for you. And that would be I think a unique opportunity for the Lions to steal some thunder from a divisional rival, because you take him away from the Vikings, it makes the Vikings less structured in their front office and gives you somebody that can bring structure to yours. But with the Bears, I really believe tomorrow that this weekend it may not be Mitchell Trubisky in the offense that lets him down, because minus Roquan Smith and no pass rush spells really bad things for a team playing against an offense like the Saints. So I got the Saints 2 scores. Moving on to next week, Bears back to the drawing board on Monday to see what you're going to do.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because Peyton has ties to both the Bears, and he has ties to, obviously, Detroit now with the Spielman brothers being there. So that's an interesting situation where the Bears could come in last minute, throw some cash at George, and try to get him there to fix everything. If they lose this weekend, they might move fast on that. And they have an internal candidate that's hot. They have Champ Kelly that's hot. He's been on 3 or 4 of these teams. I know Denver, a lot of people in Denver want to bring Champ back there because they like him. They know Elway and him have good chemistry, so they think he might be the lead dog there. But interesting stuff. Are you passing this spelling test here, Big Law? Are you going with the chalk? Are you with us? Are you staying with us? You going with the Saints?
Yeah, there's for this game in particular, there's nothing really much to talk about from a who's going to win standpoint for me. What I see really is, remember how the Colts, used to get up on you with Peyton Manning, and then they used to just send Dwight Freeney and Mathis after you. That's what I see, the kind of like the blueprint that the Saints are going to put together against Chicago. They're going to get the pressures. Once they get up, they're going to score quick. Alvin Kamara, Drew Brees finally getting back in rhythm after all the broken ribs. And they're going to put up some points early, a couple touchdowns, and then they're just going to send the house. All right, I know Mitchell Trubisky can move a little bit, but I just see that this defense, whenever they have a lead, they really know how to clamp down and really get the pressures and get the sacks going. I just don't see this being a close game, and I'm looking at New Orleans for next week, seeing who they'll play.
All right, let's get to the Steel City, baby. Let's go Steelers, Browns, Dog Pounds. So cheering last week, trying to get in the game. They're so excited. 18-year drought of playoffs is over. And then, boom, the hammer. You talked about the hammer. The hammer was dropped on the Dog Pound. The wrench was thrown in the face right here. the machine got broken. It's a team who hasn't had to practice all week. Their head coach, my pick for coach of the year, Kevin Stefanski is out. He's not going to be making play calls. We got Prefer, the head coach, the special teams coordinator, going to be subbing in as head coaches this week. I feel bad for them because I was really looking for Baker and the boys to come in and do things, but COVID seems to be running wild in their building. They got a few players going on COVID lists. The head coach isn't going to be there. A couple other key players on coaching staff's not going to be there. The teams had to shut their down their facility, I think 4 days this week. So no practices have happened. Everything's been through the mind. And this is a young team that I think feeds off emotion. This is a young team that feeds off being around each other. So I just don't see, the Steelers sat a lot of their veterans last week, gave them some time off, kind of said, okay, take the game. We'll see you next week. Boom. Now they got them. You're getting a rested and full team of the Steelers who've been able to practice all week, do everything that they do to get prepared. Me and the RIC, we're both on the Steelers winning this one. Big Law, how do you see it?
It's all about the law firm of TJ, Tuitt, Hayward, and Fitzgerald. That defense, they're just gonna, in my opinion, just clamp down on this Cleveland offense. Cleveland, like you said, they haven't had a chance to play together, with this COVID running wild, in their facility. That's sad, for the Cleveland fandom. They finally get into the playoffs, and then boom, like you said, they get hit with this. This is the inopportune time for this to happen. There's nothing else you can do about it. They're gonna naturally play the game, but I don't see them coming out of this game, with any type of or any close game or any type of a victory. Pittsburgh is gonna win. I'm interested to see. Surely Pittsburgh passes the ball. They get the ball out quicker than anybody in the league. I'm interested to see if Pittsburgh is going to try to run the ball at all. And just kind of see if they're going to try to get themselves, I guess, playoff ready in a playoff game, because they're going to have to run the ball sometime this year if they're going to try to get to the next level. But I just see them beating the Browns because the Browns, haven't had the time together to practice. And then, of course, that defense looks like they're going to crank it in, and I think they're going to be ready to go. And, they're ready to shut Cleveland out.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I think this might be the biggest blowout, and I think there might even be some players that wind up still going on COVID lists for the Browns, which is sad because they were on a magical year. This was a Disney year for them. I could see Baker Mayfield, I'm going to Disneyland, can't you, John? But it's not going to happen.
He has enough commercials.
Seriously. What do you got, JM?
Here is an interesting thing. It shows you how long it has been, potentially, since this has been a real matchup. Chubb's touchdown last week of over 50 yards, rushing for a touchdown for the Browns against the Steelers, was the first time the Browns had run for a touchdown of over that amount of yardage since Jim Brown. Jim Brown.
That's been a few minutes.
Little bit of time there in between touchdown runs of, I think it was over 70 yards against them. Now, that's a really good law firm that you mentioned. The problem is that upfront law firm sounds really good on the door. You know what they haven't done? They haven't stopped the run. Now, you're getting Robert Spillane back, so there's a shot. But I guarantee you, if you said at the beginning of the season, hey, we got to get Robert Spillane back in order to stop the run, not exactly words that would have been coming out of anybody's mouth. So the best part of what they do is that play action game. So now it'll be very interesting with your backup OC, your backup play caller calling plays. Does he stick to the script? Do you play the two tight ends? Do you make plays outside on play action where the Steelers are light? Don't try to throw it in the middle of the field where Minkah Fitzpatrick can make you pay for it. And you've set this up with a refurbished O-line and two quality running backs to give you a chance in a playoff game to drown out giving the Steelers as many opportunities as they now need to score because they don't run and they have no vertical passing. So I don't know how the Steelers could blow somebody out because they don't run it and they don't have vertical passing. Now, if by time we play the game Sunday night, there's another half dozen guys that can't play, well, then guess what? The next step of COVID that happens means this game will not get played till Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if they actually push a playoff game. I don't know if, I think Monday night, they would go up against the college football playoff. Obviously, Ohio State and Alabama are scheduled and slotted for Monday night.
I don't think in 2021 that shit will play at 3:00.
Oh, you do? You think it's just going to be?
Like, it's 2021. Yeah. We'll play football at 11:00 in the morning. Right? They'll do whatever they have to do. We're going to be watching NFL playoff games on Nickelodeon. Does that mean after the game, instead of a Gatorade shower, you're getting a green junk on you?
I think we're getting slimed. Yeah, I think we're getting slimed.
After the game, you're on Nickelodeon. So why can't you play an NFL playoff game at 4:00 in the afternoon or 5:00 in the afternoon in Pittsburgh, and then double down and watch Alabama play Ohio State at 8?
That's a hell of a.
It's a hell of an idea, right, and again, it'll be the third. It'll be the third. It'll be the third game if that happens, Sean. It'll be the third time this year. Pittsburgh's had their game moved because of the opponent's COVID testing, and the opponent's COVID positive.
Well, because so it'll be the third time. That the doctors have now changed in the last 24 hours, saying, this isn't because Cleveland is on a spike. This might be a legitimate spike that the Browns are dealing with now. And it's not the Browns' fault. It's not anything. It's one of those, hey, somebody in your office gets it, you get it, now you got a problem. And they've said they will not play a game if they're worried that the winning team, even if it's not the Browns, now the Steelers could win and take it back home with them, and now you got a problem. Right? So I think that the factor that, they've been through this before, everybody's prepared for the COVID scenario. And what I'm wondering about is, can you really turn it back on? And what are you trying to say the Steelers are turning back on? Down the stretch, they haven't been anything to write home about. You let the Browns get in the playoffs, as Rick so eloquently mentioned, by playing your B team. And now next week you come back and you're dressing your guys, but can you turn it back on? And again, what are we turning back on? The offense, one-dimensional. And I think this is a perfect opportunity because you're literally saying everything's against a divisional rival who you now have to play back-to-back weeks and a third time. Give me the 6.5.
We're running overtime here on the State of Football. Here we go. We got to cover one more game, guys. It is at Monday night college football. We got to be fast fire here. I got producer Sam up my ass ready to go. Hey, guys, I'm kicking you off the air pretty soon. So real quick, we got Ohio State, Alabama. We'll talk more on the Monday show, I'm sure, about this. Just squeezing in the picks here. RIC actually has Ohio State winning outright over, and the over on this one. I'm going the other way. Alabama. I got the Alabama Crimson Tide taking home the title here, covering and making this not much of a game because Ohio State, while they had one terrific game, they're not battle tested this year. We've seen them struggle versus Northwestern. We've seen them struggle versus Indiana. I think this is a game that Alabama comes out and just lays it on them and says, hey, we're the king. Don't even try it. What do you got? Murph?
Yeah, unlike Big Law when he didn't take Liberty in his backyard. I'm not stupid. I live in the South. I'm not taking Ohio State living in the South. As hard as it is to say it, considering what colors I like to wear on Saturdays during college football season. And roll tide, baby. That ship has sailed. And Justin Fields, unless Cardell Jones shows up, as the backup quarterback, because we know Alabama didn't like to see Ohio State backup quarterbacks a couple years ago when Cardell Jones showed up. I got a feeling that, the just the momentum of where they're at and what we've seen, too much offense, 40 in the 40s to something in the 20s, and not a long game in terms of when you're looking for back and forth, a little bit of back and forth early, but then a whole lot of Alabama the rest of the way.
Gotcha. Now, Big Law, give us your 4-1-1 here real quick on this game.
Well, like I said, I'm from Virginia, but my nephew plays for Alabama. My nephew is a freshman on the team, so I got to stick with my family. I just see them. Alabama just has too much talent right now. I think that whenever you get that much offensive explosiveness on a college program, there's no way that they can lose. Also, I think that Ohio State is they played their game of the year against Clemson. That emotional come down after that victory, I think we're going to see some of that. They're not going to be able to get back up to the level that Alabama is. That Clemson game was their game to win that year because of how emotionally charged that game was. So I just see Alabama winds up beating them to death later in the game.
Gotcha. Hey, for all you who stuck with us, Dan Cassidy, see you in the chat room, all the faithful that have been here, we really appreciate it. Roll it back with us tomorrow. You'll hear some more talks, some more takes, all on the tailgate show. Big Law will be hosting and being on, but you'll see John Murphy, Ryan Roberts, myself, RIC might pop in and say, "Hey, what's up, fellas?" So we're all there. Everything that's going on in our country, everything that's going on this weekend. I want to say this, be safe, COVID spiking everywhere. You guys all know who follow me that I'm all about that. Be safe, be diligent. I have a family of friends here in Arizona where not only the mom, but the dad and the two sons all have COVID, and the dad's in the hospital. So it is real. It is getting closer and closer, folks. So please stay safe, wear your mask, keep everybody healthy. We will see you tomorrow for the